Good Saturday morning and afternoon, everyone. It's David Schlotthauer here in the home weather office with another detailed urgent update on major Hurricane Hilary as it remains a powerful Category 3 and 4 hurricane as it gets closer and closer to California, bringing expected very heavy rainfall, flooding, mudslides, and debris flows to the region, along to go with serious winds that can knock out power for some locations. So to start off this video, this is a true color visible satellite imagery provided by the College Ado page. This is a mesosector actually with these very rapid updates. And when we look at this very closely, we can see that the eye is slowly becoming cloud filled with time, but the winds still remain very dangerous by all means. With Hurricane Hilary here, with winds out of the north that are not as strong as winds out of the south, because again, this is beginning to accelerate faster to the north. So we're seeing winds that could be approaching 120 to 130 miles an hour, well on the eastern side of the system, impacting portions of, say, Cabo San Lucas, where you're probably seeing near hurricane force winds on the system this morning. But taking a look at the overall structure here, there has definitely been some notable changes. Yesterday, we were talking about how deep the thunderstorm convection is on the western side. That has been since eroded now, and this is likely due to the fact that Hilary is beginning to upwell a little bit more cooler waters, and it's moving into more of a stable environment with that air coming in out of the north that is cooler and slightly drier, or more likely drier than anything else. So a lot of the moisture and deeper convection and a lot of the energy associated with the system is on the eastern and northern fringe of the system. So when we take a look now at our precipitation forecast, this is pretty important because we're dealing with a life-threatening situation and a historic one by all standards for Southern California, for Southern Nevada, as well as Western and Central Arizona, and also for Utah. We are going to be looking at a huge fetch of moisture increasing throughout the day today, especially for, say, like Tijuana. If you are down here in Palm Springs, we're looking at formidable rainfall rates this evening into the overnight hours, enough that we're likely to see some historic flooding and a lot of problems. So let's take this forward on our College Ado page. Let's look at the NAM 30-kilometer model. When we play this through for this afternoon, this is right around, say, about 7 and 8 o'clock Pacific time. Yeah, we have light to moderate rainfall. That's the green colors. But embedded within that, we have some thunderstorms that are likely to initiate today, including for some thunderstorms for northwestern Arizona, southeastern California, likely to see some storms, including for Park City, Utah here, near Park City, that is. Gonna see some thunderstorms. So yeah, Diana, fiber fan, just be aware of that today. Watch the skies. You see some storms in your area. But this is going to continue to intensify into the overnight hours. So by Sunday morning, we have some yellow colors on the screen for southeastern California, for southern Nevada, for basically western Utah. This is impacting a pretty big population by all standards. And yeah, look at this. For California here, we're going to see some thunderstorms, some thunder boomers tonight. Maybe a chance of heavy rainfall at times with some breezy winds from time to time as some of these storms kind of evaporate through the atmosphere. We get some downbursting winds, that sort of thing. But the big action isn't really until tomorrow. Let's kind of play this through. Once this system gets closer, this is for Sunday afternoon, right around, say, 3 and 5 o'clock local time for Pacific Daylight Time standards. And yeah, this is very, very intense rainfall. We have rainfall rates here, possibly anywhere between 3/4 of an inch an hour to maybe 1.5 inches an hour. That's going to lead to some serious flood business, all right, if you are in Palm Springs. Any of these alluvial fans, any of these I can't even say the word. I cannot get it down correctly, folks. I'm sorry, so I'm not even going to say it. But these alluvial fans, where the water drains out of, any towns that live downstream of these alluvial fans could be at risk for some serious flooding, maybe some damage, property damage, because of the rainfall. But the winds too on the eastern flank of this, the fist of these winds could really cause a lot of damage. We are looking at exceptional wind damage in some areas here, especially the closer you get to, say, Baja California, like the Mexico-California border. Could see some serious winds out of this, because again, this is moving north. You expect those winds to be strongest on the eastern side. We'll be looking at the wind gust here in a second, but very, very heavy rainfall, especially Sunday morning through all day Sunday into Monday. And then eventually, some of this rain does impact California. So like my area, I live up here near Sacramento. We're looking at light to moderate rainfall. Nothing like Southern California, but still, nevertheless, we're looking at some decent rainfall. Heavy rainfall for the Nevada-California border, maybe Lake Tahoe. Yes, you could get some rainfall, including for San Francisco. Expected to get some moderate to some light rainfall or two. And then this is all out of here by Monday afternoon. Now, I want to make myself clear, folks, that am I going to get impacted in San Francisco, or am I going to get impacted in Sacramento? A lot of you have been asking me in the comment section just how big this is going to be. It's really a SoCal event, okay, and including for Nevada as well as into Utah. But yes, some areas like San Francisco might pick up maybe 1/100 of an inch, maybe a couple of hundredths of an inch. Not a big deal for you, okay? Even so, this is going to be a tropical storm further east, but it's really from, say, from I-80 southward in the Central Valley, especially like Modesto. If you're in Fresno, you might pick up between about 1/10 of an inch to maybe 1/4 of an inch, and then maybe Bakersfield could get quite a bit. Speaking of rainfall totals, this is very, very concerning by all standards. I mean, I have never seen rainfall totals like this. Usually we get these during strong to exceptional atmospheric river events. This is almost like one, but with a tropical storm. And some of these higher elevations here, you know, when you get these easterly winds that come in like this, you're going to get a lot of orographic. You're going to get a lot of squeezing of moisture that's going to hit these mountains. So like the San Gabriel Mountains down here, the mountains down here near, say, San Diego, there's going to be a lot of rain being squeezed out. So it is possible some of these isolated areas, some of the highest mountain peaks, could receive 15 plus inches of rainfall. 15 inches of moisture being squeezed out within 36 hours. The lower elevations here, like LA County, you're probably going to see about 1.5 to maybe 3 inches of rain, which is still significant. That will lead to a lot of streetway flooding, a lot of urban flooding. There's going to be a lot of problems. River flooding, small creek flooding, or small stream flooding, I should say. And then, gosh, a tractor likes to a lot of tractors today out on the country roads today. Yes, I live out in the country, but not in the flood zone at least. So my point here is that even so, this is not going to be a hurricane. That's for sure. We're not going to see hurricane force winds, maybe hurricane force wind gusts. The moisture is going to be phenomenal, okay? That's going to be the thing. It really doesn't matter if this is a hurricane or not. What's going to matter a lot, I want to make my point clear here, is the flooding, is the heavy rainfall, and the debris flows and everything like that. So now when we take a look at the rainfall totals for other locations, again, here is the Central Valley here. We're looking at between about 1/10 of an inch to maybe 1/4 of an inch of rain for the valley, including maybe for about 1 inch, maybe a couple of inches for Lake Tahoe area. There's your your market point of maybe not so much rain to maybe a good soaking rain, depending on where you're at. But it's really in this area, folks, right down here in central southern Nevada, Las Vegas, Nevada. I mean, this is a big deal. Death Valley could really, I mean, the Badwater Basin could actually fill up pretty quickly because of this, and across Utah, as well as Idaho and Montana could get even an inch of rain out of this system. So let's talk about the winds now. The winds are going to be a thing with this system, especially if you're on the Mexico, California border, Arizona, Mexico border. South of that, you're going to see the strongest winds. So let's play this through. Winds going to be light today, and they're going to kind of come in out of the north, but then they're going to shift rapidly out of the southeasterly direction. Take note here, the strongest winds, again, this fist, okay, what I call it, is going to be on the eastern side of the surface low. The surface low is probably going to make landfall just east of San Diego. That's what most of the models do indicate today. That's what the NHC is going to indicate. But again, just because it doesn't make landfall in San Diego does not mean you need to cancel your preparations. This is going to be a historic rainfall flooding event by all occasions, by everything you can think of, just because the center is not going to hit San Diego. The moisture fetch with this is ginormous. It's a big deal. So you're going to see hurricane force wind gusts, okay, on the eastern side of this system, maybe approaching 80 to maybe 90 miles an hour, perhaps out of the southeasterly direction. So there is going to be a lot of wind damage with this for sure. Roofs coming off, probably trees coming down. Now in LA region, like LA County, you're probably not going to see a whole lot of wind with this because you're the east, or the center of it is going to be just to your east. So the strongest winds again are east of that center. Now let's take a look at the National Hurricane Center forecast. This is, or current conditions on the system. This is the 6 o'clock advisory, and we're now down to a Category 3 hurricane. Still a major hurricane, not a Category 4 like earlier, but again, 5 miles an hour difference is not going to be a whole lot. This is a beast. This is destructive. This is historic by all standards. Pressure is down to 947 millibars, moving to the north-northwest at 16, so it's beginning to make that acceleration off to the north. So now we're going to be looking at, this is the NHC, or this is the Weather Prediction Center forecast for excessive heavy rainfall outlook. I mean, this is very bad. I mean, look at, a lot of purple here. This is just east of San Diego. If you're in Barstow, if you are in Palm Springs, this, like the purple that you see, a rare high-risk event, isn't taken very lightly at all by the Weather Prediction Center. That means you could see 5 to 10 inches of rain in many areas, with some isolated areas 15 plus inches in a 24 to 36 hour period. Las Vegas, you're under a moderate risk for flash flooding. If you're in Yuma, you're under a slight risk for flash flooding. Fresno, you're under a slight risk. Bakersfield, a slight risk. I mean, even so it doesn't look all that bad, just remember that flooding in the desert Southwest is to be taken really seriously. I mean, the monsoon let alone, you rarely get a moderate risk for flooding, and here you are seeing a high risk for excessive heavy rainfall. I promise you, there will be pretty much devastating impacts, historic impacts out of this. And I don't like hyping this up, okay? I really don't. I feel terrible about myself about hyping things up with systems like this. But, I mean, the rain is the bigger deal. I mean, if I could make a ranking system, 10 being the worst out of anything, 0 being the worst, I would give wind maybe a 5 or a 6, maybe a 4 to a 6. Flooding or heavy rainfall about a 9 to a 10 out of this system. And surf, not going to be a whole big deal. We're going to see some swells, maybe 8 to 10 feet, but it's going to be the flooding, the heavy rainfall. And I'm going to read these key messages to you all because, again, this is my job at providing the most accurate weather information that I can possible. So here's the key messages from Hurricane Hilary. Heavy rainfall associated with Hilary will begin well in advance of the center from Baja California Peninsula into the desert southwestern United States. Preparations for the impacts of flooding from rainfall should be completed as soon as possible, as heavy rainfall will increase ahead of the center today in the southwestern United States. Flash urban and flooding is expected with dangerous and locally. I mean, this is a big deal from the NHC, folks. This is not taken very lightly at all, and I'm going to highlight it right here. Catastrophic impacts likely from tonight into Monday. What did I just say? At the beginning of the video, we're looking at historic catastrophic impacts. Oh, from a tropical storm it is, right? Doesn't need to be a hurricane. This is a great example. It takes a tropical storm, even a tropical depression, or if not better or worse, even simply an invest to really cause problems. Hurricane conditions are expected along the west central coast of Baja California Peninsula within the hurricane warning area tonight and Sunday morning, and are possible in the hurricane watch area on Sunday. Tropical storm conditions are expected to begin on Sunday in Southern California. That's the LA County region, San Diego, within the tropical storm warning area. Winds could be particularly strong and gusty in and near areas of higher terrain. Large swells generated by Hilary will affect portions of the coast of southwestern Mexico, Baja California Peninsula, and Southern California over the next few days. These swells are likely to cause life-threatening surf and rip currents. So what you see there is a big deal, okay? This is, you can go look it up, hurricanes.gov, or you can simply go to the NHC, nhc.noaa.gov, and you can look up their graphics there. So taking a look now at when will the tropical storm force winds arrive, and we're looking at Sunday morning for Southern California, perhaps kind of the California-Mexico border, with a 60% chance, even 70 there, with tropical storm force winds that are anticipated. That's a fairly likely shot at seeing winds sustained greater than 40 miles an hour, with wind gusts that could reach still hurricane force out of this system. Now, looking at the track guidance from the NHC, this is as of 9 o'clock. I want to just make sure I got everything updated. There it is. So we can see that now looks like the center is not going to make landfall in San Diego. While that is a good thing, people are like, okay, it's not going to make history. I promise you, the rain is just going to take over the entire show here, with tropical storm warnings that are anticipated still over Southern California, hurricane watches even in Baja. I mean, you can just see it on the map. This is a really big deal, okay? 125 mile an hour winds now, moving to the north-northwest at 16 miles an hour. Again, this is going to be life-threatening. This is going to be catastrophic, and I just pray and pray and pray, like, that you all can please get out of harm's way. And I want to just kind of make my point clear here for at least a minute and a half before I do in the video, that some comments in the video are saying, I'm not going to get out of harm's way. This is not going to be a big deal at all, David. Come on, stop hyping this up. Like, dude, we've been through worse conditions than this. This is like an atmospheric river. No, it's not like an atmospheric river. This is exceptional. Okay, get out of harm's way if you can, because you cannot hide from water, okay? You got to go to higher ground if possible. And another thing is that I am very concerned that no one's going to take this seriously. Just because of what I said, you probably are not going to take this seriously, and you're just going to kind of stay home and ignore this. You can do that, but I'm telling you, it's not going to end well for you. I promise that. If you're in a flood-prone area, you're kind of downstream of these alluvial fans where the water's able to gush down these gorges, it's going to be game on, and it's not going to end pretty. So all I got to say is please evacuate if you can. That's what tropical storm warnings are for Southern California. This is to let you know that tropical storm conditions are expected and you need to evacuate. Alright, well that's going to sum it up for today's video. I sure hope you all enjoyed this. If you did like this update, please consider subscribing, hitting the like button, and sharing this video with your family and friends on social media. Thank you all for watching. I'll be back probably this evening with a live update on Hurricane Hilary.